Hi guys, and Happy New Year. It's Erica Heron, author of First Dollar Feeling Tales from the Trenches of Small Business, here to talk to you about 2021 goal setting. So that may seem kind of like an oxymoron here because we don't want to set goals for another year that might look like 2020. But here's the deal. So there's a lot of running jokes that there's no point to setting goals in 2020. There was no point to buying a planner, an organizer, or really trying to get anything straight in 2020 because it was a complete and total dumpster fire. The reality is, as a small business owner, if you've been doing this for a few years, when has a year ever gone according to plan? Hell, when has a week ever gone according to plan as a small business owner? It just doesn't happen. While 2021 saw more challenges and more change than what we would usually expect as a small business owner, adaptability is the name of the game if you're going to survive as an entrepreneur. So, regardless of how 2021 is going to go, I'm going to recommend that you continue to set those goals. Things may come up that you may not reach them, but here's the thing about goals. If you start them and you're smart about how you set them, and you create a plan to reach those goals, whether you actually achieve them in 2021 or you just make progress, you are still closer to that goal. So I do recommend making new goals at the beginning of every year, not necessarily resolutions, because we all know the connotation with resolutions means that you're going to give up before February. But setting goals and setting achievable objectives to help you reach those goals is going to help you get to where you want to be in 2021. So for 2020, for me, I'm a military spouse, so not only did I see the effects of a pandemic where most of my clientele were not able to either do business at the level that they were expecting to for 2020 due to pandemic restrictions. I've had a good chunk of my clients have to close their doors because they're in the hospitality industry, restaurants, hotels, tourism industry. All of that, we saw major hits from our own client base where we lost a lot of our clients because they weren't able to operate anymore due to the pandemic restrictions. That's probably not going to change anytime soon, even with the vaccine and everything else coming out. These things tend to take time. So we felt the strain as a business and on our revenue because our clients were feeling the strain of not being able to operate the way that they normally would. So we had that struggle. On top of that, I'm a military spouse. My husband is active duty Army, and we got orders, which we were kind of expecting. But what we did not expect is it was to go from Idaho to the Mid-Atlantic region. So we're actually in the New York tri-state area right now. So it was essentially a cross-country move, and we had about 60 days to pull it together. This was not something that we had anticipated as far as it being that far of a move. And I had the business. We had 60 days. We were in the middle of a pandemic. It was all very, very last minute, very thrown together. We had to shift all the way through. At the same time, I was trying to finish a book. I was trying to build up our revenue. I was trying to keep my toddler from going insane. I have a 2-year-old. And trying to get into a graduate school program because that's the next step in my own career progression. All of these things could have easily been thrown up in the air with this move, with this pandemic, and gone, we're just gonna give up. But because I had set goals, because I had set objectives at the beginning of 2020 before I knew COVID was going to be a thing, I was able to go back to those and say, okay, this is what I wanted to achieve. How I get there has to change now, but this is my end state. I was able to look at that and go, okay, I need to get here. How are we going to do this with this new environment? It wasn't pretty, but I still got the book published. My applications for graduate school already went out. These are all things that I didn't expect to be able to do. In the middle of a pandemic, we've been able to do them because I had set those goals, because I had set those objectives, was able to go back, revisit, and adjust as needed. The business has been able to remain solvent through a pandemic, even though we've seen quite a bit of revenue shift due to the regulations on businesses. We serve clients nationwide, so every state has a different regulation, it seems like. So we're adjusting course as needed. If I did not have those goals written down, I would not have been able to stay on course because everything else around me was in a constant state of shift. So a lot of this comes down to choices, right? If you look behind me, and you'll notice from my other videos, I don't have the pretty polished, put together backdrop for my videos that you expect from a lot of Instagram influencers and stuff like that, because all of it's still in moving boxes. We moved in August, September, and all of my home decor is still in boxes because I made the choice that when I got here, I just continued to work. I took a week off for us to actually make the drive from Idaho to the tri-state area, and then I just got back to work. That was just the choice that we made. So right now I'm sitting here going into January, and I still don't have home decor behind me in my home office. So again, these are choices, these are priorities. Everybody has different things that they need in order to be able to function. Decor is not one of mine. We will get there. It is on my goal list for 2021. But it didn't stop me from continuing to put out these videos. It didn't stop me from writing my book, from promoting the book, from getting everything across the finish line. Even though it wasn't perfect, I still continued to push forward. Again, one of the reasons why I was able to do this is because every time I started to doubt myself saying, well, my videos don't look like so-and-so's or this influencer or this coach or this person, I was able to go back to my goals and say, yes, but you said that you were going to accomplish this goal with your book. And part of that was the objective to do one video a week. So you're going to do it whether it looks perfect or not. So I did. Having that written goal has helped me stick to that, whether it's perfect or not. And without that, we wouldn't have accomplished what we did with the book and the sales progression that we have so far. So how do you set those goals? Where do you write them down? What's the best way to keep track of them? Personally, I use Clever Fox Pro Planners. I've been using these for a couple of years now. We've only had childcare for like a quarter of 2020, so I've been homeschooling preschool for a 2, soon to be 3-year-old on my own while running the business. So I've got the business tasks, I've got the toddler tasks, I've got the general household tasks, I had writing the book, I had getting grad school apps out. So all of these things had to go into one giant planner to keep myself straight. And one of the things I like about Clever Fox is that it has right at the top, you've got today's goal, and it's one goal. And then you have your top 3 priorities. So this is one of the things that I recommend for entrepreneurs, whether you use Clever Fox or you use Day Designer or you use Pro Planner, or you just do bullet journaling or a piece of paper or Google Calendar, whatever you use to do your time tracking and your goal setting. Pick one thing, just one, not 3, not 5, one thing that you are going to accomplish that day. That does not mean that that's the only thing you accomplish that day, because we all know as entrepreneurs, telling yourself, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on, this one thing, and then that's all I'm gonna get done today, when you have multiple employees and all this other stuff. That's just not how it works. Your to-do list is probably about as long as mine, and looks like Santa's gift list. So we are better served to focus on one core thing that gets us closer to those goals. So no matter what I'm doing, no matter what happens that day, if I have a sick kid, if I have a fire to put out with a client, if the Army decides to do something else that changes plans, so whatever happens, I have one thing that I have committed to myself I'm going to accomplish. Sometimes that is focused on doing something with my child. Maybe I'm going to sit there and say, well, we're going to go for a long walk today, and that's my goal for the day. Maybe it's revenue driven. Maybe I'm going to make 100 sales calls that day. That's my goal for that day. No matter what else happens, I'm going to get that done. For writing the book, maybe I'm going to sit down and say, I am going to write 2,000 words today. It's going to happen. It's It's the one thing I have to get done today. No matter what, I prioritize that above everything else. I still get other things done, but at the end of the day, I'm able to look back at my goals and say, okay, this was my goal, and this is what I did today in this moment to be able to reach that. And then I accomplish the rest of my tasks around that. With Clever Fox, it also gives you the option under your today's one goal to give 3 priorities. So that kind of helps you expand a little bit as you're moving forward, saying, okay, I accomplished my one goal today, but I still have time, I still have energy. What else do I tackle? Then you have your 3 priorities to start to progress to versus just a general to-do list. As a business owner, if you just get logged down in that to-do list, you're just going to get tied into the day-to-day minutia, which keeps you from driving that bigger vision. So take a step back, focus on the one goal that you're going to accomplish today that's going to get you closer to those overall goals that you've written down, and then you can focus on your top 3 priorities. So I use Clever Fox for budget planning, for curriculum planning for my toddler, for business strategy planning, for my vision boards, for everything else. There's a few other planners out there. There's Day Designer is good, though it's more female focused. Pro Planner is kind of a drugstore, easy to access planner that's just like the bare bones of what you're going to do. You can also get a bullet journal, create your own. I don't know who has time for that these days, but if that's your jam, bullet journaling is great. You can also use Google Calendar for digital goal setting. You can set up your tasks, you can set up your goals, and you can build it into however you want to do that. For my team, we also use Asana for general task management, project management, that sort of thing. They've got a lot of tutorials on how to maximize that for your team. It's really great for group projects as we were moving forward with promoting the book, growing the business. That's where my team has kind of lived for the past years in Asana. If they have a task they need me to do versus having to go through and having a 30-minute meeting about it, they just give me a task in Asana. So it populates onto my to-do list and I know, hey, this needs to be done by this date, and it helps me stay on track. Even when I was getting ready to move, our moving checklist all went into Asana, and I just added my husband as a user in Asana, and we use that to accomplish everything while running the business, while working on the book, all of his other things, and we were able to do it successfully. So there's a couple different tools you can use there to manage tasks, manage goals on your own and with your team. This is an affiliate post. I don't receive commission off of any of this. These are just the things that I use, that I've tried. Honestly, as a planner, Clever Fox is my favorite. But like I said, there's other ones like Pro Planner. Kate Spade has a good one that if you're kind of more centrally focused, Kate Spade has a good one, especially if you're a female entrepreneur. Day Designer is good. Pro Planner. Google Calendar is great. You can use Asana. Trello, if you're into the Trello board type thing, they can do that as well. Airtable has a good program that's online. So depending on how you best process information and goal setting, whatever works for you, whether that's digital or handwriting or however it is, there's a couple different options out there for you. If you're planning on goal setting for your business, so the good thing that you want to do is make sure that your processes are correct and in place and where they need to be for you to succeed, both as an individual and as a business. Because if your business processes are not in place, guess who has to pick up the slack? You, business owner. So in order to free yourself up to focus on your own goals and to drive that bigger vision, you need to have your business processes in place. First Dollar Feeling has a whole slew of information and strategies on how to do that, whether you are a service-based business or business to consumer, retail, what have you. We've got a couple different industries that are represented in that, in those interviews and in those strategies. So you can take a look at First Dollar Feeling, Tales from the Trenches of Small Business, to get some insight on how to streamline your own business processes, which for 2021 goals, look, the same thing that I have: less money out, more money in, and streamline our processes so I'm not having to deal with the day-to-day on a regular basis. Those are some of my goals for my business. So if your goals are somewhat similar, First Dollar Feeling will be a great resource for you. All of the research that I've already done to do this for my own business is in there. All of the research that a lot of my colleagues have done past clients, past referral partners that are featured in the book in different industries. They've added their insights and what they've learned from trying to get to that point as well. So take a look. It's First Dollar Feeling Tales from the Trenches of Small Business. Available on Amazon Kindle and on paperback. Link is in the bio. If you have any questions, please drop me a comment below. I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, happy 2021. We made it. And I will talk to you next week. Thanks.